Welcome back. In a moment, we'll find out why so few Asian footballers make it to the top. But first, here are some other stories to keep an eye on. An Argentinian soccer fan has died from injuries he received after being dropped 5 metres from a stand at a football game. Emmanuel Balbo was chased by fellow home fans who believed him to be a supporter of the visiting side before they pushed him over the railing. North Korea has promised the international community that it will continue its controversial missile tests. The country's vice foreign minister claimed that they would carry out the tests on a weekly, monthly and yearly basis. The comments come amid rising tensions with the United States. And the US Vice President, Mike Pence, is in Japan for part of his 10-day tour of Asia. Trade relations between the two countries have been called into question since the US decision to pull out of the 12-nation Trans-Pacific Partnership. Asia is the world's biggest continent. Football is the world's biggest game. You'd think it would be the ideal match. But despite the popularity of the sport, very few Asian players have made it into the world's top leagues. We'll discuss why that might be in a moment. First, let's hear the views of some amateur players who are out for their regular Friday night match here in London.
My name is Imtiaz Shohid. I'm 16 years old. For the past 2, 3, 4 years, we've been playing every Friday. Throughout the whole week, I'm studying, and Friday is the one time that I can actually let out all my stress that I've had throughout the past week. Not many Asian people play football because maybe due to whatever's going on at home. I find Asian parents more protective. I think that's just from my perspective and everyone else that I know. They didn't want me to get hurt or anything. It took quite a while. It took literally about a year of actually convincing them to actually play. I had to say that this wouldn't mess up with my studies or anything, that this is just a hobby. And then after a while, they started understanding how passionate I was about playing football. Football's not for everyone, that's one thing. And you might think that you're good at football, but you got to think about there's, 10, 20, hundreds of people better than you. If you're that good, then I think you should strive to become a footballer. Go to any trials that you think you can. But if you don't think you're good enough, then I think focus on your studies.
My name is Imtiaz Rajput, known as Taz. I've been playing football now for almost 50 years. I play 6 days a week, and I love football. My son, he plays football as well, and then obviously I encourage him to play because I love it, he loves it. We go to football matches as well. We're mad hard Spurs fans. When it comes down to Asians, they always push their children to more studying, that they want their child to become something else. They want them to go and become doctors, engineers, and it's like, what is your son doing? And they're not going to turn around and say, well, he's a semi-pro football, or he's a football player, even though now the wages that footballers earn leave the doctors standing at the end of the day, don't they? But I do think racism is a problem, because I've known people that I played with, and they are at a very good standard, and they have gone to clubs, and they have just got belittled and pushed aside, because obviously look at the world nowadays. In England, you've got every single nation playing. But how many Asians playing at the moment? And they are going out there, but the thing is, they're not pushing it on to a different level.
My name's Usman Abed, I'm 18 years old. I play every day from year 7 to year 10. And then after A-levels, mocks it's cut down, so I play 2-3 times a week now. Most Asians don't normally play football. They tend to play other sports. It tends to be more like cricket, badminton. I don't think it really matters if Asians play football or not. Because it's just, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. If it's not your sport, then you would tend to find a sport that you enjoy. My parents, as long as they knew I was doing my studies, the other stuff doesn't really matter. But if it was distracting me, then I think it would have been a different story. But that wasn't the case. So any teenage boy that plays football in secondary, they just want to be a footballer. But as they grow up, times changes, and if they're really good, they'll probably get scouted in the future. There's plenty of people in the scouts or academies that get picked, but only certain go to major clubs.
Well, still with us in the studio is the former professional footballer Anwar Uddin, who is currently spearheading Fans for Diversity campaign. That's an initiative run in partnership by Kick It Out and the Football Supporters Federation. And Anwar, you have another claim to fame, because you were, if I'm not mistaken, the first British Asian to captain a top-flight football team in England, correct?
Yes, no, that's very correct. Yeah,
How difficult was that for you to get that
It
honour?
was, listen, it was very difficult. I mean, I loved the game and played it from as young as I can remember, and it's all I ever wanted to do. And obviously, it's amazing that when I signed for West Ham United in 1997, there was a lot of sort of attention around me being one of the first, if the first British Asian to be at a Premier League club. And I was asked the question, why are there so few Asians playing football 20 years later?
Here we are, we're still asking you the same question. Do you have any answers now?
I mean, back then I said, first and foremost, it's difficult. I think people underestimate how hard it is. We're not competing with the best in London or England. It's now a global market. If you want to play for a Premier League team, you know, you've got to be the best in the world, because the top teams can go and get the best young kids from Argentina, Brazil, Australia, you name it. So it is extremely difficult. And I think you do need support from family, from friends, and it takes discipline and drive and talent.
And was there a culture thing? Did your parents disapprove of you spending quite so much time at football? Would they rather see you with your head in a book?
I think the cultural thing is definitely an issue in terms of, well, when my father came over here, he was really, really, you know, work orientated and just left me to play football. Really, he was like, as long as you're happy, play. So I didn't have the pressures of a father wanting me to make it. So I just got on with it, really. But he didn't push for me to do that. He just said, look, go to school, you know, become as smart as you can, get a good job. You know, those were his priorities, and there's nothing wrong in that. You know, he came over here from Bangladesh and wanted his son to be successful. I thought success was being a football player, and I wasn't going to stop until I was. So really happy I achieved my goal, but it is extremely, extremely different.
But what was the difference between you and the other kids you must have known, contemporaries at school, who were probably quite good at football, but you took it to another level? Now, what marked you out? How were you able to take it to another level?
I'd like to think my ability.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, you know, I'm a firm believer.
And so people encouraged you along the way?
I'm a firm believer in a meritocracy. If you're good enough, you get your opportunity. But I have to say, there are lots of players that I've met throughout my career and around that sort of time that had some really negative experiences going to trials, working with clubs, not being given the opportunity. So there is an element of that.
You need to fill that out a bit for us. I mean, in negative experiences, and they appeared to be of equal degree of skill and ability, but they weren't chosen for another reason?
Yeah, going to clubs, going on a trial, not really taken as seriously, you know, promises, going to certain games and being told they'll get an opportunity when they haven't. And there was quite a lot of those experiences from fathers, from young players. And to be honest, it sort of resonated around the community that people just almost gave up. It's not for us. We don't get the right opportunities.
Right.
And I think sometimes with players, if there's an excuse, people use it. But I kind of was very sort of strong-willed. It's what I wanted to do, and I just made sure I was as good as I could be. But there are so many small factors that I think contribute to the reasons why there are so few.
Sure, and everything just has to fall into place, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There is an irony here in terms of just, I suppose, if we look at the television numbers, I know from the English Premiership, which you know, the biggest, I guess, league of its sort anywhere in the world, it's massively popular in Asia, isn't it? To the point that almost to a ludicrous degree of fan base and supporters and money spent and things like that. And yet it's popular without having Asian star players. Is there a disconnect there somewhere?
I think there is. I think what the Asian community, especially in this country, needs to recognise is a successful Asian player is someone who's playing for Dagenham and Redbridge, someone who's playing for Coventry. I found that when I was at West Ham and Sheffield Wednesday, you know, when you're on Match of the Day and it's very high profile, you're an Asian superstar. The minute you go to Bristol Rovers or Barnet or Dagenham, it's almost like you're off the radar. There are some unbelievable Asian players currently playing. Danny Bart, for example, who captains Wolves, fantastic role model. But unless you're in the Premier League, because a lot of the Asian community support Liverpool, Man United, watch Match of the Day.
They go for the big teams.
Yeah, they need to understand that for me, success is about the Football League holistically. Even in non-league, it's about having representation. Don't matter what level. You know, if I go and watch a non-league game and there's 2 or 3 Asian players playing for a Cray Wanderers or a Bromley, that's fantastic. And I think once you get that foundation, hopefully it will increase and get more at the very top level.
We shall see how it goes out. Good to meet you, Anwar. Thank you very much indeed. Let's end the programme with our Insight Bite, as we usually do. This is a little something that we feel you should know. And today, the Queen of Pop and the future King of England have featured in a charity film promoting awareness of mental health issues. The film was organised as part of the Heads Together charity campaign, and it sees LA-based pop icon Lady Gaga video call Prince William in London. They discussed Lady Gaga's experience with mental health and the importance of destigmatising mental health issues. Only last week, the Prince's brother Harry revealed that he'd received therapy to help him cope with the loss of his mother, Princess Diana. And that's all from me for now. I'm Martin Stanford. That was Inside.